I live in the high desert of northern New Mexico. And in the early 1990s, the high desert of northern New Mexico was in a severe drought, the worst in over 100 years that the elders remembered. Cattle were suffering, crops were dying, and it was really bad. And a native friend of mine called me one day, and he said, Greg, would you like to join me in a place that our ancestors built so long ago, this medicine wheel where it is today? Would you like to join me in that place for a prayer of rain? I said, sure, absolutely, I'd love to. We hiked across 130,000 acres, and we arrived at this ancient medicine wheel. And David sat down, he unlaced the shoes, his old work boots, and with his naked feet, he stepped into the center of this wheel. And he closed his eyes, and he held his hands in a prayer mudra just for a few seconds in silence. And then he turned and looked at me and he said, I'm hungry. You want to go get a bite to eat? And I was shocked. I said, yeah, at some point, I said, but I thought you were going to pray for rain. He looked from inside that circle right into my eyes. He said, no. He said, if I prayed for rain, rain could never happen. Because the moment we ask for something to happen, we have just acknowledged to the universe that it does not exist. Now, we've just affirmed that it doesn't exist. We've affirmed the very thing that we're praying to change. And I said, well, if you didn't pray for rain, what did you do? He said, when I closed my eyes, I felt the feeling of what it feels like when it rains in our Pueblo village. I smelled the smells of what it smells like when the rain rolls off the earthen walls of my Pueblo home. And I felt the feeling of my naked feet in the mud, and the mud is there because there's been so much rain. And I gave thanks of gratitude and appreciation for the rain that has already happened. And by the time I got back up onto my property that afternoon, I saw something that we hadn't seen for a long time. Big black clouds came in over the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, and by nightfall, it started to rain.